Okay, you're welcome back. My name is Legendary Boss 247. Now, in this next video, we are going to be looking at how to draft our back block, right? We have done the front block to this extent. Now, we want to move over to quickly do our back block, right? Now, so permit me to rotate this way. I still want to use this paper so that we can easily make reference to this, the front block, right? So we have this now and we want to draft our back, right? So you want to first thing first measure your shoulder. Remember, we are going for half of the shoulder. The shoulder is 15, half of it is 7.5, just as we did for our front block. So this is going to be 7.5. You go down a little bit, you mark another 7.5, and then you connect with a straight ruler, right? You connect with a straight ruler to some points there, and we said that we are sloping our shoulder line from a neck width of 2.5, which is actually a neck width of 5 inches, right? And then we say our slope is going to be 1 inch, right? We have done all of this for the front block, so it is actually a walkover, right? So we have this, and again we go here and get our armhole depth, which we are using by formula in this case. You know that your armhole depth is your shoulder divided by 2, right? So we have 7.5 there, and I will put a line at that point, right? Now the next thing for me to do is to mark out my bust span, right? My bust span. Now in this case we said our bust span is 7 inches. Now remember, for the front we divided that by 2, right? We are going to still do the same thing for the back. 7 divided by 2, but in this case we will be adding 0.5, right? This is a new theory of mine, so I'm going to explain it and the reason why I am adding my 0.5, right? If you watch my previous video, you will know that this 0.5 wasn't there, but then after some critical analysis and observation, I added 0.5 to this. So I'm going to show you now. This is half bodice, right? So you divide your bust span by 2, and I said for the back, this happens at the back only. For the back one, add 0.5 to it, right? So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, plus 0.5 gives us 4. And I'm going to tell you why I made it 4 when the time is right? So for now, let's have our bust span line here, down this way, and then on this line we can now measure our shoulder to bust and then our shoulder to waist. Mind you, there's nothing like shoulder to under bust for the back bodies, right? You only have your bust line and your waistline, right? Now our shoulder to bust for the front is 10 inches. Your back shoulder to bust line is going to be 1 inch less than that of the front, right? That is the average, 1 inch less. It is not the same thing. Front and back are not the same thing, so it's going to be 1 inch less. So instead of 10, I'll be marking 9, right? And then we have already established the fact that my back half length is not the same with my front half length, and in this case we have a difference of 2 inches. My back half length is 14.5. We have done this before, we have said this before, we have proven this before, right? So 14.5, that is 14.5. So I can mark my points. So this will be my back bust line, and then this will be my waistline. Now in some cases, if you do this 1 inch less at the back, right? I made this 1 inch less from here to here, 1 inch less than the front. In some cases, if you do it, it might want to interfere with your armhole depth. If you have a situation like that, just simply drop the line slightly below the armhole depth, right? Hope you got that clear. I mean, if you try to subtract 1 inch from the normal shoulder to bust for the front, because you want to mark that of the back, and it is going to interfere with your armhole, just drop down slightly and take there as your bust line, right? I hope that is clear. Now, what we want to do is we want to introduce our sway back. Sway back. You know, the human back bodice is not straight. If you check at the midpoint of your back, you see that there is a slope, a kind of slope to the waistline, right? You are not standing straight like a wall. No, you are not standing straight like a wall, right? So from your shoulder, your body slopes down a little bit towards the waist area. So we are going to be making that slope, and we are going to be using half inch for that. You can choose to use 0.75, but then I want to go with half inch in this case, right? So at the waistline here, I want to slope in by half inch, and this slope will begin from at about 5 or 5.5 inches away from the shoulder. In this case, I want to be using 5 because this is actually a small bodice, right? 5 inches. Now, if you observe the female body well, or any human, not just the female, you realize that the back bone came down straight a little bit before sloping in, right? So we are leaving this part to be straight, while from 5 or 5.5 inches we can now slope in, right? You can choose to go for 5, you can choose to go for 5.5. It is okay. Even 6 is still okay, right? So from here, I will slope in my back bodies. This is what reduces that puffy effect at the zipper area, right? Apart from the fact that we have shortened the back half length, you still want to make this sway back effect so that it lies smoothly on the person's back, right? So if we have this done now, we are going to be chipping off this part away. So whichever measurement you are taking, do not let it enter into this part. We are cutting here off, right? Now, the next thing we need to do is to mark out our bust measurement. Remember, we are working with a bust 36, and we have calculated, and we are using 19.5 for our front bust. Remember the formula for front bust. We did that and added 1.5, and we got 19.5 for the front, right? So for you to get your back bust is to simply subtract 19.5 from 36. So 36 minus 19.5, the back bust is 16.5 inches. You can now see that both front and back bust are not the same, but when you put them together, when you join them together, they will still give you 36. So the dress is still going to size the person. You don't have to worry about that, right? So our back bust is 16.5. I have a formula for that. It will still give you the same result, but if you don't want to waste your time, you simply subtract the front bust from the total bust. Now let me give you the formula for back bust, right? The back bust of a lady, BB. This is the Legends bust allocation formula, right? So the back bust of a lady, BB, is equal to her total bust, TB, all over 2 minus 1 or 1.5. Remember, for the front, we were using plus. So the back is the opposite of the front, right? So this is simple. 36, in this case, our total bust is 36. 36 all over 2 will give us 18. Minus 1 will give us 17. But if we are going for minus 1.5, we get 16.5. You see, it is the same thing, right? And remember, we are going for this one because of the difference between her bust and her under bust. I have stated this before. I said when it is up to 6, you use your 1.5. And moreover, whatsoever you use for the front is the same thing you are using for the back. So we are sticking